Hi there, this is Princy. Welcome to Africa4Nuclear, a platform that takes you through the evolution of energy and how nuclear energy and its range of applications have become a driving force that can impact life all across Africa. Myself and some of my friends across the globe are super excited to be your guide as we cut across through all intersections of nuclear energy. So we close off the season with a focus on nuclear energy and climate change. I am joined by a nuclear engineer and a COP26 delivery team member, Cunha da Silva, all the way from Brazil. Alice, we need energy to make the world go round. Our current energy sources are a threat to our environment and sustainability. What is energy security, and how would it be compromised by a sudden jump to net zero?
The International Energy Agency defines energy security as uninterruptible availability of energy in an affordable manner. That's pretty much the definition. When we talk about going through clean energy sources, we don't talk about a jump to net zero. We talk about energy transition. So we can make sure we don't affect the energy security. We make sure we still provide energy that to allow development, but we transition to clean energy sources that will not affect the planet like the fossil fuel energy sources are affecting and causing and being a big part of what is causing climate change. So that's why we talk about transition, energy transition or decarbonization, is to transition from the sources of energy that we have now to continue producing energy, but with clean energy sources, with energy sources that will allow a sustainable future. So we don't want to jump, or although we want to be a fast transition in order to meet the targets, we do need that transition to make sure exactly what you said, like allow energy security to have energy security.
As you know, the world's economy is powered by fossil fuels. How long do you think it will take us to transition to net zero?
That depends on how fast the countries start the process. There is this target globally of net zero by 2050. And recently, the International Energy Agency that did a research and published a roadmap to 2050, to net zero 2050. And the roadmap to get there is very aggressive. We need to, right now, deploy all the clean energy sources that we have available to decarbonize other industries, not only decarbonize the energy production, but decarbonize other industries such as transport. We need use clean fuel for cars. We need to use electric cars and so on. There is discussion also on aviation to decarbonize the industry as well. Anyway, decarbonize several industries to make sure we have a net zero by 2050. But we also need innovation. We need to continue developing new technologies in nuclear, in other fields as well, to make sure we have available technology for this sustainable future that we want. But actions need to be taken yesterday. We cannot afford to wait some innovation to be finished or finalized and be able to be deployed in 15 years. We need to deploy now what is available and continue researching and developing new technology. So the technology that we currently have is needed now, and continued development of it is also important. Otherwise, we won't achieve net zero by 2050. And with that, we won't achieve the targets, the temperature targets that we have, and we'll continue harming the planet with that. And we are already seeing consequences of climate change. We are already seeing changes in the world and natural disasters being increased due to climate change. So we cannot wait. We cannot afford to wait.
Just spoke about the pace in which it can take us to transition. What's your view on the countries that are shutting down their nuclear power plants? Wouldn't that derail our progress?
We have perfectly capable power plants that were operating without any issue. They were operating and producing clean energy in huge amounts, because we know how dense nuclear energy is. So we know that one single pellet, the amount of power it has. And when you when you close a nuclear power plant that was perfectly operating, you are basically substituting that for fossil fuels. Because to have, for example, to have a power plant, wind power plant producing the same amount of energy that a nuclear power plant produces, we need land 360 times bigger. So those sources, nuclear and renewables, they are complementary. They are not one instead of another. They can work in collaboration. They have different characteristics that can support one another. So when you substitute base load power, that is a nuclear power plant, when you shut them down, you are replacing by what is the base load power of that location. It is fossil fuels. That's what is, so you are emitting more. There is a study in the NASA did in US with a university that I don't recall, that analyzed the use of nuclear power plants in US for from the 70s to 2010 or something like that. And they found out that because they used nuclear there during those years, they prevented almost 2 million deaths due to respiratory diseases. Because when you use nuclear, you are not only producing clean energy and supporting solution for climate change, but you're also not polluting the air and supporting not decreasing lung diseases, respiratory diseases, because you are not polluting. And so it's when you substitute nuclear for fossil fuels, you are not only harming the planet, but you're actually putting more pollution in the air and supporting more diseases. And you put a harm on the health system as well. You put a strain on the health system as well. So those plants that were shut down, they, without the need of shutting down, because we know there is an age limit, right? We know plants are licensed up to 40, then 60. And right now there are nuclear power plants that have got the second life extension and that are operating up to 80 years. But after 80 years, they will be shut down, or if they cannot operate it anymore. But if you were shutting down plants that have 40 more years to operate, you are just putting pollution, you are just impairing the planet instead of maintaining a clean energy sources that would be helping. So they shouldn't be shutting down.
You mentioned challenges that are facing the nuclear industry, and you and I know that one of them is negative public perception. How would you think we should handle that going forward as the industry?
Communication, proactive, transparently communication. That is something that the nuclear sector is improving, but still needs to go further much more. Instead of reactive communication, waiting questions to come or waiting things to happen to explain, we need to establish a relationship with the public, open dialogue, where we start proactively communicating with them and not only sending information, but listening their concerns, their doubts, understanding why they're afraid or why they don't understand this, leverage the things they are familiar. Because when you talk about nuclear technology, you don't talk only about energy production, right? We know that nuclear technology can support medicine. We know nuclear technology applications in several other things that are benefiting society, and the public normally don't know about it. So it's important to have a transparency and open dialogue with the public as early as possible, because it's an investment also. When you deploy nuclear technology, when you construct a nuclear power plant, you are investing in education, in infrastructure. You are bringing social economic development to the community. So those benefits that should be celebrated and understood by the community, because you have high qualified jobs. So you need to invest in education to have those people working at the power plant. You need the infrastructure for a nuclear power plant. So you need to develop, you have a socio-economic development in the communities around the nuclear power plant that is amazing, and jobs, and you bring in a lot of jobs. And most of the time, we are just explaining that it's safe, it's safe, it's safe. It's important to show that it's safe. It's important to show all the safety measures, how the organizations that are inspecting and making sure everything that is done is with a nuclear safety culture in mind, that is embedded in the way we do our jobs. But it's important also to celebrate all the benefits that nuclear technology brings to society, and have these dialogues, these discussions, these conversations with the public since early as possible, involve them in the process. And that way, I believe they will feel part of it, and they will understand, they'll have their questions answered, and they will be able to make up their minds if they are against or pro in a more informed way, knowing that they can reach out to the sector in case they have questions.
In closing, Alice, what would be your advice to Africa as we are also in a journey of transitioning to greener economy?
To consider nuclear as part of the solution. I know there's the continent of Africa is very rich, and I know there is countries in there that also have big reserve of uranium. So you have natural resources to produce the fuel that is basic. There is the basic need for a nuclear power plant, and you have potential. There is development. I remember in university when I was studying, I was researching a South African reactor, and that was the base of my research in university. So there is the capabilities to develop and have nuclear. But South Africa, particularly, I was researching and saw that almost 80% or more than 80% is based on fossil fuels of the energy matrix. So it is important to take a stand and decide to go through the process of energy transition to cleaner energies, to clean energy sources. It's not going to be something that is going to happen next year, but you need a plan for this transition in order to allow people in Africa to have clean energy sources and still develop, and that is nuclear. You need a dense base load power alongside with the others, of course, but to support energy transition, you need nuclear.
Alice, thank you for joining us on Africa4Nuclear and sharing your perspective and passion about nuclear energy. I wish you all the best with COP26, and I hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Until next time, Ma Salima.